I'm Jackie. This is Garrett. We almost got divorced. Going through all that made us like how we are now, which is just so much better than you could ever imagine.
When you get through the deepest, darkest part of the night, man, it ain't nothing but sunshine after that.
This is the most important job you'll ever have, and people don't put as much work into it as they should. We're going on 25 years. We have 5 adult children and 1 brand new granddaughter. She's so cute. Hey, everybody, we're back for our 3rd episode of the Limitless Livin podcast. First, I want to thank everybody for listening, watching, whatever it is you do to find out more about us. And I want to give a shout out to TaylorMade Artistry and Designs for the Limitless Livin merch. Contact my BFF, Diane Perry, if you're looking for any custom merch or if you want to buy Limitless Livin merch.
Yeah. This stuff will be on sale. This nice wear here. So you can do all this stuff. You can help support us as we go and try to support marriages. Follow this website here. Follow my finger. Or link I put there. And you'll be off to TaylorMade. All right. You ready to get going?
Yeah, I'm ready.
All right. So this episode... This is episode 3, and why did we get married?
I have no idea.
Why did we get married? It's a loaded question, and so we're going to try to help answer it and try to tell you all what we've learned from what we thought we knew 25 years ago into what marriage takes now. So, you ready, Ray?
I'm ready. I think a lot of people think that marriage is a thing that has to be done. I realize I'm married and I've been married for 25 years, not without its challenges and not without the possibility of splitting. But I don't think, I don't know, we might disagree on this. I don't think everyone is meant to be married. And not because they're not marryable, I guess. I just think, depending on what stage you are in your life, when you make the decision to potentially get married or be in a long-term relationship, I just think if you are, I couldn't imagine getting married today at the big old age that I am. I could not imagine going out as the person that I have been for my entire life, more than 40 years, looking for a mate that would complement everything that I am. Like, I couldn't imagine that. So I think when people wait later to get married, I don't think there's a right or wrong, but when you wait later to get married, people are bringing more to the marriage with them. And they're bringing maybe some things that they're unwilling to bend or modify in the behavior that they've become accustomed to for their entire life. So I think that's one thing. People have this thought that marriage is a thing they have to do.
I think the most common reason people get married, I think it's, for us, we were young when we got married. And I would say for this thing called love, like this feeling that you feel for a person, you think they're special, you think they're unique. And it's mostly for a feeling that you have that just, you know, in the beginning, things give you butterflies, and then you're like, this person's different, and I'm not going to find someone else like this person. You're attracted to them, all these other things, but actually none of that is sustainable. But everybody gets married for different reasons. We kind of hope to reveal some of the foundations and principles on why you should get married. But as far as sustainability, there's a lot of things that people get married for that aren't sustainable.
I think people have the thought that they are in love with the person they're with, when a lot of times I feel like people are just used to the person they're with and they are attempting to make it work with that person. I'm not saying they don't love that person. Like, I have love for people that I'm not married to. But I just don't think that, I think people try to force it more so than getting married because this is the person you're in love with. This is the person that you could see building a life with. This is the person that you want to commit to for the rest of your life or their life.
I think societal norms have everything to do with why people get married now. I mean, all you got to do is look no further than the $1 billion marriage industry right now. And we teach little girls from the time they're young that you should have a man, and you're not completely happy until you find someone. And then we attach all these dreamy movies and toys around these Cinderella stories about marriage when marriage is so much bigger than what society makes it. And that's why we see it's not sustainable across cultures. But the best thing to do is be the best you, single, and to prepare yourself for someone who is marriage material. But we focus so much on being a companion of someone, we don't really develop ourselves enough to be a good husband or a good wife. And marriage in the base case is a biblical institution of a man and a woman coming together to be fruitful and multiply. So why are you laughing?
Nothing.
No, say it.
No.
Why?
Because it's naughty.
What? Oh Lord. Okay, we're gonna just rewind that.
Yeah.
But so it's more than just this glamorous 40, 50, 60, $80,000 wedding. It's about a contract, a covenant you make with another person till death do us part.
You have to be able to ignore some of the noise as a mother. Like, I'm going to see things that maybe my kids aren't going to see in their mates. And everything in me is going to want to tell them to flee if I feel like that is what they should be doing. Right now, I have like a secret, not so secret, unhealthy attachment to an ex of one of my kids. Like, I wish this person was still in our lives. Like, I just really love this person. I think of them often, but that was not what was working for them or my kid. The family noise has to be muted. Like, you could take advice of your family, but your family doesn't know everything about your relationship. Your family knows what you elect to share with them, and whether people realize it or not, they are going to share a watered down version.
I think there's pressure from family and culture to get married. Marriage is the norm. Being single isn't the norm. At the end of the day, uh, each individual should understand why they're getting married and be able to look at that throughout their marriage.
I honestly don't. I don't think I gave marriage a whole lot of thought. It was just like this thing. Like, it came with a ring, it came with a wedding or an elopement or whatever, a honeymoon. Like, I don't think at 19 I gave marriage a whole lot of thought. I was raised in a single parent household. I grew up around healthy relationships. I grew up around marriages, but I don't know what my thought was about it actually at that age. I honestly can't speak to that.
It's funny you say that because I remember asking you this like early on, like, did you ever think about marriage and who you would marry or what type of person you would marry or how many kids you would have?
Yeah.
And you would be like, no.
So I know I threatened my mother with having like dozens of kids because I was raised as an only child. But outside of that clearly empty threat, I don't know that I ever really seriously thought about marriage or, by this age, I wish to be married. I have a couple of kids that have put themselves on a clock saying, you know, they're not going to have kids until they get married. If they're not married by such and such a time, they're just not having kids. Like, they've actually set out this time frame for themselves, and that was not me.
So it was weird for me to ask you that, and then you say that, because it was something I thought about, like who am I gonna marry? Like, how many kids are we gonna have? So when I started having those feelings about Jackie and feeling like she was one, even at 19, I really felt like Jackie, and she still does, like when she walks into the room or into the house, like she still brightens my day up. And I knew
I'm a ray of sunshine.
Yeah, you are. And I feel like it's not just to me, but I feel like you were just someone that, like, I saw that, you know, I felt like God made you for me, and that, like, this is my wife. Like, this is the one. I don't know why I'm different with her than any other girls, and this is who I want to marry. It wasn't any real deep thought. It was a feeling, like I had mentioned earlier, that I don't feel this way with any of the few relationships I had before. And then there's just something about her that draws me. And I had no problem putting a ring on it. I didn't think you would say no to it. But I was just super excited and stoked to have you as mine.
He's always super excited.
I am. I'm still excited about that. You know, there was times they're up and down, but I'm still excited about you being my wife.
I think everybody thinks that they realize what they're saying I do to when they make that commitment at their wedding. It's in the vows, till death do us part. Everybody goes into it thinking, I'm going to be married to this person until one of us dies, or until one of us kills the other.
You should really write your own vows. That's just lip service at that point. I don't think anyone realizes what they're saying.
But I don't think, like, through sickness and health, like richer or poor, these are all like just words. But when you were in the gutter, living in a shoe, eating beans, like, I could do bad by myself. I'm not trying to live with some partner with 18 kids and we're struggling to make ends meet or whatever. This is not my story, by the way. I'm just saying, like, sickness and health. I really hope that I meant my vows. No, I'm just joking. It takes a lot when someone's sick, like, even with a cold. It's a struggle for me. I lack, like, a sensitivity piece. Like, I'm like business only. So that sickness and health, that's a big one. Like, I don't think people put as much stock into those words as they should. That is a huge ask. That is a huge commitment, a huge undertaking to care for someone when they're at their lowest. And I don't think people really get it. I think it's all very romanticized. Like, there's just, oh my God, I'm married and I'm a bride and I have this ring and we have this home and we have these kids, and then boom, like, you're hit with life. And I mean, people are either going to stay in it or they're going to flee. And I've known a lot who have fled. So I just don't think people really truly understand what those things mean.
I agree. And I was joking, but halfway serious. You really should write your own vows because it really is lip service. If you're reading something that's been read over hundreds of years and it's not coming from you, you really don't mean it or understand the weight of what you're saying. So I really am, and I was able to do that when we renewed our vows. But I don't think I will go as far as to say, and I will debate anyone.
Of course he would. The great debater sitting to my left.
I'm the great debater.
Ugh. I hate it.
But no, seriously. If anybody says they know what they're getting into with a marriage, the arrogance alone, it's going to cause them to fail. Because when you say those vows and you haven't, it's like accepting a contract to play in the NFL and you haven't played a game yet, saying that you're going to kill it in this game. And you don't know it until you get into it. I know I was talking to my dad after our first podcast, and I was telling him, I was like, man, I was 19 when I got married, and no one talked to me about how hard marriage was. I'm like, you knew I was getting married, and you never said anything about marriage and about me and Jackie getting married.
He's not talking about me, by the way. Super easy with me.
Oh, no. This is definitely you. Definitely. Jackie. Jackie is her name.
Lies.
But my dad told me, he said, you had made your mind up that you were going to marry Jackie. And I was like, yeah, he was right about that. There was no one going to talk me out of marrying Jackie. And then the second thing he said was, there's not enough words I could have told you that would have prepared you for the Jackie to come. And I laughed because he was spot on. So you could say vows, you could go through marriage counseling, but what you're actually doing in those vows is preparing yourself for something you have even if you've lived together, for something you have no clue is going to happen. And so what you're really doing is you should be preparing yourself to prepare for everything and be able to get through most things if you truly love this person.
I think when you get married, the goal is to build a life together, build a family, build wealth, and pass something along to like your children, your children's children. Like, I think that is the ultimate goal, like to create something positive and share it with the world.
Man, that's you almost stole the words out of my mouth. I think
I'm a thief.
People don't understand, and I'm not trying to be all preachy, but when you understand the institute of what marriage is exactly what my wife just told you all. It is a partnership. And if you think about partnerships in business terms, right? Because there's all types of partnerships. I'm using this for an example. It is to make stronger two things that were once separate, right? And through that partnership, the whole is better, right? And you begin to increase and you begin to be fruitful and you begin to um, remake or not remake, but create people like you who you can pass down things like Jackie said to continue to grow this partnership so it can be long and sustaining and something to be a blessing and proud of for years and years to come. I'm marrying this person because I love them and I'm going to create something that's wonderful and makes us both better than when we were separate.
If you're confident in the reason why you got married, the purpose for you agreeing to this union, I think you would be able to get through any obstacle, any trial. But you have to hold on to the reason why you made the agreement to go into this lifelong commitment with this other person. Like, I think as long as you hold on to the initial thought behind you stepping into this covenant, you would be able to sustain.
So why did we get married?
I don't know why we got married.
So how you holding on to something you don't know why?
Barely. I'm just saying, like,
I agree with you.
thought, like I said, at 19, like, a lot of people think that getting in a relationship that young, you're not fully mature, like, you don't really know what you want, you don't know what the future's gonna hold. Like, we were still school age, I guess. Like, if we could have been, going through secondary education, like, what did we really know at 19? And the answer is probably not a whole lot. So, like, I honestly think, like, I'm not saying that we did not get married for the right reasons. I feel like
we was just out here like, hey, you want some coffee? You want to get married?
I feel like I thought like I was getting married for the reasons I should have been getting married. Like, I love this person. We have a family. We're committed to each other. We want to be together. Like, those are all the reasons why I thought you should agree to a marriage. Like, I really felt like at that age, I was doing the right thing. But fast forward 10 years to when we split for that period of time, I think there may have been something missing. Maybe we hadn't thought everything. I know 10 years is a long time to go through, but like I said, we were just going through the motions. Like, I say we were playing house. Like, we were passing like two ships in the night because of our work schedules. Like, we had the kids preoccupying us, distracting us. So I think that time of separation, if we had gotten married for the reasons people should get married, I think that time maybe would not have come for us. But it did. We learned from it. We grew from it. We came back together. We're better than we were. I think it's something that had to happen. Like, so again, I'm not saying people shouldn't get married at a young age. Like, it does work. Like, we're proof that it works, but it's not without hard work. It's not without a little bit of extra effort.
I agree with you. I feel like
Because I'm right.
No words, but I feel like, yeah, it's unfair to say we knew the whys at 19 years old, but I really believe that the why is important, because in marital counseling or your own counseling or discussions between yourselves, you should be asking each other what you both want from this marriage. That should be first and foremost. But you should also understand, what is it you want from this partnership and what is it that the other person wants? So then 15, 20, 10 years go by, you may have to reevaluate that. And I agree with you in that point where we split, neither one of us was fulfilling the why or what we wanted from the marriage. And so because we didn't understand what Jackie wanted and she didn't understand what I wanted, we just drifted. It was pretty easy too, especially having 5 kids. But I really think you should ask yourself, even in a relationship, am I getting what I want from this relationship? And are they getting from me what they want from the relationship? But the why is important because you can point to it and say, you're not doing this, or you're doing that, and we're great because of it.
Everybody says love is all you need. Like, I'm pretty sure there's probably songs titled that. Love is like a jumping off point. Like, I mean,
Jumping off the boat, or starting the marriage.
In marriage, like, yes, you should love the person you're with, but I feel more importantly, you should like them. Like, I can say I've got a handful of people that I could honestly say I love, but as people, not a fan. Like, I don't like how they move. I don't like how they operate. I don't like how they treat people. So, like, in a marriage, love is not enough. Like, you have to work. Like, you have to be honest. You have to be open. You have to be willing to learn, explore. Like, you need to know what makes the other person tick. Like, you need to know what makes them happy. You need to know their love language. Like, I was going through our whole marriage, like, and I still, like, to this day, I would come home from work after working 10 hours overnight. I would get the kids ready, get them off school. I would stay up, I would cook, I would clean, I would go to sleep, I would get up, I would plate dinner, whatever. But when I would get up for work at night, everything I had done had been undone. And it's like, I'm doing all this so this man doesn't have to come home to a mess. Like, he's working all day during the day. He has to come home and deal with the kids because I'm sleeping until it's time for me to go to work or get up and feed them dinner, whatever. And everything is undone. And it's just like a gut punch. Like, I feel like I'm doing this for you. But it took like a really good friend to tell me, you aren't doing that for him. You're doing it for you. Like, that is what you want done. Like, that's not his love language. Like, so I was completely missing what it was that he needed. That wasn't what he needed. Like, what he needed was, one, more than love, and two, something completely different from acts of service. Like, that was what I wanted. I was doing that because that was what would make me feel good. And you really have to work at getting to know that person and getting to know what it is they need from the relationship. Like, what is going to make them happy in this forever relationship that you're going into.
What's love than a second-hand emotion?
See, this is not what I need in my forever relationship. It's not a desire I have. And now that I've said it in front of all of you and him, I don't expect to ever be
No.
serenaded with a Tina Turner
No.
song again.
But it hit the point. What's love got to do with it? I think love, I mean, I'm joking, but love has to do with it. But like Jackie said, you can't ask one person to give you the same definition of love. And so love does almost feel like a cop out. When somebody says I just love the person. Like, you don't even know what else to ask after that, right? Because it's like, that's the word that just shuts everything else off. But I really think that, you hear unconditional love, conditional love. You hear all these different definitions of love. But I really believe that love is a word that can be explained, but not defined. And when I say that, and I had just read this in a book, and it hit me because I've done this to Jackie before, and I've asked her why she loves me, why she loves me, why she loves me. And she would just say, and maybe that's some insecurity on my part, or was some insecurity on my part. And she would just say, I don't know. I just do. And I just recently read this book that said, for a person to answer why they love you, it almost seems that if you don't do those things, they don't love you anymore. And so it isn't something that really can't be explained. You just feel that in your heart of hearts, and only you know, or you two know, that you are willing to go the extra mile to even die for this person in a way that can't be explained, but that can be felt. And I love this girl. Y'all could probably tell even from the first 3 podcasts. Like, I love this girl. We went through some stuff and we were separated, but I still love this girl like I did when I first fell in love with her. There's nothing I won't do for her. She's my world. And I just explained that, but y'all have no idea of the intensity.
Why? Why do you love me?
See how she is? Now she want to throw it back on
I want to know why.
because I got some clarity.
I bet they want to know why too.
Why what?
We all want to know why. Why do you love me?
You know what?
No, I don't. You won't answer the question.
That's why I'm trying to explain it in a book that I'm writing. But I'm serious. I really think Jackie was made for me. I don't know why when I saw her in this park the summer after 8th grade, I was so drawn to her. I don't know why after 2-3 years in high school, I was still drawn to her. I don't know why when she showed up on my doorstep a year after high school, I was still drawn to her. I really believe in some deep down soulful, spiritual way that she was who I was supposed to find to be my wife. And I was one of the people blessed enough to not have to go through 20, 30 years to find you. And whatever that feeling was, it was spot on because you are exactly who I need. And I can't explain that. I can't explain why that feeling comes over me to this day.
He needs me.
I do. I want you too. That's 2 things right there.
I think there's a lot of factors that people overlook when they're talking marriage. I I have a kid who was talking marriage. This person's, marriage material. We got all these plans, all these things we want to do. And it's like, there's a number of things that people need to consider before saying, yes, I'm going to make this commitment. For me, it's, yeah, like, it shouldn't matter, but I feel like, do you get along with the family of the other person? His family's always going to be his family. My family's always going to be my family. It's going to be challenging to navigate if there's some sort of separation or disconnect. The big one, financial. Like, if this man had $80,000 worth of debt, that's something that I'm agreeing to take on as his spouse. If this man had the spending habits of a zillionaire, that is also something that I'm taking on as a spouse. We are now one. And this might be in a future podcast, so stay tuned. We don't keep our money separate. So all of his debt, all of his spending habits, they now become mine. Like, everything becomes, we share it. So there's just a number of factors that I don't think people consider, and I just don't think people ask the right questions. I just don't think that they do. Not that you should have to research, but you kind of need to be informed about what you're getting into. And I think people, when they are in love, like, they're so blind to some of the red flags that are literally waving in their face. They're just moving them out the way, and they're not seeing that, like, these issues, if you're willing to work through them, I mean, go you, but these issues are going to be there. And if you can't move and groove with the ever evolving, like, drama, then I just really do not think marriage is the road that you need to be going down.
I'm gonna just say this: being in love and getting married should be the same thing. But I think because no one understands what it means to love, they're not. So, like Jackie, I believe I was gonna say the same thing. The love I've seen blinds people to the real issues in their relationship, and they continue to get married anyway. But my mama used to always say,
Y'all, she crazy, y'all. I just saw her today.
my mama used to always say, if you marry somebody, you better love they dirty drawers. She used to always say that, and I never understood it, but I get it now, because being in love means that person that you claim to be in love with, you're going to love everything about them. You can't say you're in love with a person, and then when you get married, you no longer like the things that they were when you fell in love with them. I have to love every downside and every upside to Jackie. And she has to love that about me. And when you enter this covenant, you have to live together in that state you're in, accepting that I love this person that much that I am going to help them work through it, to death do us part. So to me, being in love means loving the whole person. I can't be in love with you and not like these parts of you and want to run out on them. I can be in love with you, not like these parts with you, but love you through it. Just like I hope you would love me through them. And I just feel like people don't really, I think it goes back to the beginning with the societal norms and what people think marriage is. But love isn't a warm and fuzzy feeling. It's loving that person when they're at their worst and at their best. And that's what gets you through.
I feel like people should be very aware if the core values are the same before entering into a union, if they are aligned on the possibility is always there. If you are intimate with your significant other or your spouse, the possibility is always there that you could have children. Are you both wanting to have children? That's a good question. I mean, I might have gotten married to him and he might not have wanted kids, or vice versa. Like, do you want to have kids? I think that's something that should be asked. And then if you do have kids, how do you want them raised? Like, what faith do you want them raised in? Do you want them to go to church? Do you want them to go to private school? Do you want them to go to Montessori school? Like, I think things concerning kids, there's like a whole book of questions that you could probably ask about that. Um, who who will take care of the finances? Are we pooling our money? Like, finances is a big thing. Like, money makes the world go round. Money's not a reason to marry or not marry, but you need to know what you're getting into financially with another person when you're making that commitment. So are we going to keep our money together? Are you going to handle the bills? Am I going to handle the bills? Are our bills separate? I have the student loan. Like, are we going to tackle this together? Where you're going to live, geography, like, what is your goal? What is your end game? You need to ask bigger questions. I know, like, in the planning stages, like, everybody wants to pick out the dress and think about the honeymoon and where's the venue. Are we going to have open bar? What are we going to have to fish or lobster? Like, it's just the amount of effort that goes into planning a wedding or planning a reception or planning a honeymoon. That amount, if not more so, needs to go into planning the marriage. Like, you're talking from today until you die, like until death do us part. And it's easy for me to say because we spent about $15 on our wedding. Like, it wasn't anything huge or grand. It was a wedding. It was a reception in the church. We didn't spend tens of thousands of dollars on a party for other people for the day that we chose to commit our lives to each other.
All right, man. Foundation. This is tough. I think the first one Jackie said is having the same religious belief. That's huge, because every decision you make, you can point back to if it aligns with your religious belief. The other thing is not so much questions I think you should look at in a person, for foundational things you should look in a person or principles. It's how does he or she treat their mom or dad? How do they treat their siblings? How do they treat um, children? I think you should date long enough to see your significant other in the relationship under pressure, so you can see how this person responds. You want a person with some ambition. You want a person, not ambition to the point where they're trying to save the world, even though they might want to, but you should understand what their dreams and goals, plans for the future, children, how they feel if they should work or not work. All these things are foundational questions that should be asked. Those questions or those things mean way more than what color you like, what you like to eat, does he snore? You have to really get to, no, I'm serious. You have to really get to the, what is it you need in a person, not in how they look and how they make you feel, but together does the puzzle piece match.
The first thing that attracts people to people typically is their outward appearance. But for me, I feel like you shouldn't be looking over your shoulder. You shouldn't be rummaging through phones. You shouldn't be doing drive-bys. Like, you should be able to trust. Like, is this someone that you trust with anything? Like, if there was the most important thing to you and you could not take care of it, would you entrust it to this person? For me, like, that's a big thing. I cannot stand a liar, and I want to be able to trust the person I'm with. And if I can't do that, if there's ever a doubt or a question, there's a problem.
I got another simple answer. I think one of the things, that gets overlooked. I'm really gonna keep it. Is the question is, am I settling? People should really look at themselves in the mirror, and I think you know when you are. But the weight and the pressure and the lifespan and the culture we live in pushes you to go forward, even when you know. But are you settling? There was no doubt in my mind when we got married that I wasn't settling. There was no doubt. Like, I felt in my heart of hearts that she would go through this life wholeheartedly with me. And she did. Even when we were at our lowest, Jackie was the one holding us together. And I really think if you look people in their eyes and ask them, are they settling? Or they ask themselves, and they're true, that would be the one question that gets most overlooked. And if they answer it yes, then they need to end that relationship and move on. And if they say no, congratulations, you found the one.
If I were single today, I would be single for the rest of my days. Like, I just don't think, I think I would be so picky and so particular if I had the knowledge that I have right now and I were single. Like, I think I would just die single. Like, I don't think that I would seek out someone to share this life with. Like, I honestly believe if I was not with Garrett, I don't think I would be with anyone else. And I had said that, like, when we split, like, ugh, I would never get married again. And then I was like, I might like companionship. But again, like, remember, I grew up an only child. So I'm perfectly fine being independent. I'm fine being on my own. I have a friend pool. Like, I can reach out to them. I can hang out with them. I just don't think. Are we pretending I never met him? Like, I think I would try to make everybody be him. Like, everything about him that I love. I mean, don't get crazy. He ain't perfect, but like everything about him that I love, like, I think I would be measuring another person up against that. And I just don't think it wouldn't be fair to that other person. And it would honestly be a waste of my time. Like, I do not think I would, I don't think I would be looking to date, honestly.
We've had this discussion before about, you know, if something happened and we were single, what would it look like?
He said he would marry urgently. He said if I died today, he'd be married by tomorrow.
Tell the truth.
He said he would have to be with someone because he's incapable of taking care of himself.
I didn't say it like that.
That's basically what he meant.
No.
He would marry right away.
Tell them what I said.
That you would have to be with someone.
I didn't say it like that.
He said that he would be okay if I died because he would just remarry.
No.
That's what I heard. That's what it translated
I keep trying to get you to tell them what I actually said.
You have to tell them in your words and then let them translate it.
No, first of all, I would be devastated, right? Because you are, as stated.
But he would be on the prowl.
That's what I said. I said that I would be.
He said that he was such a catch that everyone would be seeking him out.
You know what? You keep
That's what you said. That is literally what you said. Okay, he didn't say, I would be such a catch. But he's like, I wouldn't have to look for anybody. Everybody would come looking for me.
Why are you making the tones and the sarcasm?
That's what I heard.
Sarcasm.
That's what I heard.
Okay. No, what I said was, yes, I would be devastated. But I think it would be hard to remain single, is what I said, because I feel like there would be women interested in me.
Because I'm such a catch.
I didn't say that. I didn't.
That was understood.
It's a lot of uncatchable people out there picking up women. And you know who they are. But if I answer the question, if I'm single and I know everything I know now, I know me better than I knew me when we got married. And I can pull out right now on my phone all my goals and ambitions in life. And what I would want from whoever, if I was single again, is to know if they can live with this person.
I'm telling you right now, he is unlivable. I am surprised that I am able to live with him.
What does that even mean? I'm unlivable.
He's unlivable.
What does that mean?
You can't live with him.
I mean, I am driven, and whoever would be with me would have to be.
Episode 4 will be me independently explaining why he is unlivable.
Okay, that's fair.
Stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
You really have to take a leap and have to trust the person you're with. I keep coming back to trust. You don't know if someone align, like it could all be lip service. You know if somebody's going to align with you. You have to know. Like it's just a feeling. Like it's not something you can explain. You have to know if they align with you. They could tell you all day long that they agree with you, that you guys have the same goals, but that could just, again, all be lip service to get you to the level in the relationship they want you at. Like, I really feel like it's just something you know. Like, I can't explain it. Like, it's just something you know.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most direct thing would be to ask a person what their long-term vision is. And a lot of people don't think past 2 weeks, let alone 10, 20 years or retirement. But I think it's fair to ask because I want to know, me personally, I want to know that if our life takes a turn for the worst and we're in the gutter, that you're going to be in the gutter with me. Right? That's what I want to know. I want to know if you down like that.
God.
I also want to know that if I become a billionaire, that you're also going to be down for me and all that brings and the lavish lifestyles and the different temptations. I also want to know that. Like, I want to know that in whatever situation, like, you are going to be side by side with me.
I don't know about that gutter life, though.
I mean,
it's rough.
But that's what a marriage is. Like, you don't get to choose, right? The outcomes in life, but you can deal with them, right? And I want to know that the person I'm with can deal with the good and the bad. So long term, I just want to know that whatever comes our way, and the biggest thing we did handle so far. So I see we're doing all right.
I'm not sure there was something that would have been end game. Like, I'm not sure that there was something that I was like, if he doesn't do this thing, I can't get with it.
I told y'all I was a catch.
He's all right.
I didn't say
he's
that.
He's all right.
The only thing for me, and I laugh because people do have a lot of non-negotiables that are like superficial. Mm-hmm. But for me, the person had to believe in God. That was it. I can fall in love and be in love, or however you want to bracket it. But if the person didn't believe in God, that's just a non-starter for me. And that was really, really it. Everything else after that is, let's work it out.
That's settling versus compromise.
That's tough.
I feel like I worked with a girl once who was like, "Oh, me and my husband never fight." And I'm like, "Really? My husband just left me. Like, how do you never fight? Like, my husband's leaving me." That's like the ultimate fight. And it just like I was seeing
fight of our lives.
I was seeing a therapist at the time, and I went to her like angry after working overnight, and I'm like, "This girl said her and her husband never fight. Like, how is that possible? Like, before he left me, I wanted to mangle him at least 50% of the time. Like, how are they not arguing? And she told me they were full of it. She's like, if a couple is not disagreeing, there's one person who is constantly lying to themselves. And I just feel like compromise and settle is it's like a fine line.
Mhm.
Like, I don't feel like I've ever settled. I'm not sure that I've compromised as much as maybe I think, but I feel like I've maybe deferred. I don't think it's a lot of compromise. I don't know if that's the right word for what's happening here. But it's not settling. It's not settling, I don't feel like.
But I also don't believe shutting down is the right answer.
No, it's not. It's the wrong answer. Yeah. And I'm still working on that. Like, never settle. Like, you want your voice to be heard. You need to use it. You need to express what you're feeling, because keeping it in, I feel like, just creates a bigger problem later on. Do not settle, because you are worth more than that. Like, I'm worth more than that. He's worth more than that. Like, you should not ever settle.
I'm going to say this, and I'm going to use an example. So you should never settle, and compromise is better than settling. And this is the example I'll use. I wanted a certain name for our first child. Jackie was like, that's a non-starter. Now, to me, settling would have been, all right, you name the child. And she would have named the child. But what we did was we both agreed on another name that we both liked. Now, I really liked the name, but it was a non-starter for her. And I could have just settled and just been like, you know what? You name the kid, whatever. But I was able to compromise by actively participating in the name of that child. So I think that's the big difference, where settling, you're just deciding to accept the way the things are. Compromise is, we've had a discussion and we've gone back and forth, and well, maybe we agreed on something that wasn't my idea. Maybe we agreed on something that was my idea. But in the end, we talked about it. So I feel like settling is more of, I don't want this, and I'm not even gonna compromise on it. I'm just gonna take it.
I mean, my commitment's always to him. Like, I committed to him. So anything that changes with me, I'm not asking for him as a person to change, but just to accept me as I'm changing and growing.
Growth and change are good, but it's the way you stay aligned during that time is to be a part of each other's growth and change, right? And I say that with the assumption that you're growing and changing for the better. Maybe you go into a new field, right? That's going to make you more happy. Or maybe you become better at listening. Or maybe you're able to, save more money or learn how to use the stock market, right? So in those growth and changes, your main goal or whys for the marriage should be the same, but in that, you should be supporting each other in growth and change. And some of that change is terrible, like when your mom passed away. That was change we did not expect. Like, we didn't think she was going to live forever, but we didn't think she was also going to.
I did.
Yeah. But we didn't think she was going to pass when she did. And that was a change that, man, we worked through together. And Jackie, to be an only child raised by a single mom, I felt like she was strong. I hope I'm that strong if something ever happens to my parents. But I admired her from a distance. But that's changed that, I had to accept that my wife's not going to be my wife for a little bit. Oh, man. And I'm going to have to pick up the slack around here and for all the things that happen surrounding that. But, again, our split was another change, right? And in all these changes, man, we got better as a couple. We got stronger as a couple. And I know she misses her mom, but she needed to lean on me. And I'm just blessed that I was able to be the person she could lean on in that moment. And I know she would do the same for me. So stay close, stay loving, stay friends, best friends. And when growth and change happen, it'll bring you closer together.
Do you love the person, or do you love the thought of stability or security? Like, you love the person for sure, because again, you don't just fall out of love in a day. But what are you more concerned with? Like, the feeling you have for that person, or the safety net that you think you have? It's really hard. After we reconciled, I had to, anytime he would do something, let's just say he broke my favorite mug right now, that would make me angry. Like, I would be mad. And the second I would get mad about something, I would think of all the worst times we ever had, all the worst things he's ever said, or the worst things he's ever done. Like, my mind would instantly go there, and it would just bring all this stuff back up. And I'm like, that is like the hardest thing. Like, you have to force yourself to not think on the bad, but to think on the good, because it's so easy to go to the bad things that have happened, which is where my mind went, especially when we were newly kind of reconciled. Um, just because there's so much hurt. You're happy, you're sad, you're angry, you're like, it's literally the stages of grief. It's like a loss that you're suffering. So it's really hard. Like, you have to think back. If you made the decision to marry the person, you have to think to the things that made you want to say I do. And I know I keep saying like we were young when we got married, but at the end of the day, there was always love.
Like, I don't know if it's evident, but I was the one who actually filed for a divorce. And I think, and I don't think, I know the reason was because I wasn't fulfilled in my marriage. We weren't intimate. We didn't talk. I felt like, and I'm a happy-go-lucky person most of the time, and she was never in the mood. It was just a lot of things that I felt like, and I always used to joke about people who worked overtime is they hated their home. They live at work because they hate their home. It must be why because I was never an overtime person because I loved my life outside of work. My job wasn't my dream job, but I loved my home life. But it got to a point where I dreaded going home because I would be bombarded with bad and somber news, no affection, just things just started to pile up. And then I was just like, I know I deserve better than this. And I didn't want, I was serious about getting out of that relationship because I didn't want to live the rest of my life not feeling appreciated. And then when it all got going in that, couple year period, man, my wife, she proved to me that she was the same person that she was when I married her. She was going through something, but the way she fought for us was just, it was amazing. And I'm appreciative to this day that she fought for us because we're able to be where we are now. And I'll continue to say it was the best thing that ever happened to us. That separation fast forwarded us to where we needed to be as a couple in love.
I think a lot of people don't really know why they got married. And I think when challenges arise, people can't look back to the reason or look back to that day, even. Like, that should be one of the happiest days of your life. And I don't think people actually look back on that day as the happiest day of their life when they're going through challenges. So that's tough to answer. Like, I don't know how that helps you maintain.
I know a pastor that when he marries people at the marriage ceremony, he makes them put their vows in a picture frame, to be put on their bed tables or wherever close to them in their rooms, so that they always have that to look at. And I really believe that if you write your own vows and you share them with each other and you become the circle of trust and holy matrimony, that you should be able to point back to those vows and say, this is the agreement we made. This is the contract that we signed. And other than the vows, like Jackie said, I don't know what you would point back to, but I thought that was a genius idea, to always have readily in front of you the reason you're laying next to this person in bed. And I just thought that was an awesome idea, to have people frame and put their vows by their bedside.
Like, I look at like our split and think, was every battle worth fighting? Was every smart comment worth saying? Like, is that the thing that like pushed him away? So for me, like, I'm not gonna major the minor. Like, nothing's that serious to me. I'm not gonna argue. I'm not gonna debate. And like, shutting down, yes, is not the right thing. I think you need to be open. I think you need to be willing to communicate your feelings and what's on your mind. And like I said, I think, as a person who I am, again, an only child, like, it's just something that's a little more difficult for me to do, because I mean, who was I talking to? My mom and myself. Like, I wasn't like sharing my feelings with the world, but I mean, everyone's always growing, right? So that's an area of growth that I need to work on.
This is what I try to do in those times is, one, see what I did wrong, right, in situations. Two, explain to her what I needed from her. And then three is talk through how we could, what this would look like next time. The same argument, what should it look like next time? But it's owning your part of every problem. It's not just one person's fault. And then communicating those things. If I just continue to shut down or never tell Jackie what I'm really feeling, then I can't be mad at her if she keeps doing those things or I keep doing those things to her. We're people that still have drawbacks and things that we struggle with, aren't good at, but we're still growing. And the only way you do that is by getting out and communicating. And she said earlier that the times we go out to eat is when she can shut off from the world and only think about me. And so it's good to know where you and your spouse can go and just have the world to yourself to have those conversations.
I don't know. Love is patient, love is kind.
I love that. It's the best definition of love to me. It doesn't boast.
Love is love without a limit.
Sit on the limit.
Love in our relationship, it's like the scripture. Like, it's not a contest. It's not.
She's talking about 1 Corinthians.
It's not. I mean, I don't even know how to like put it into words, because it's a feeling. It's a feeling.
You stole my answer.
That's my answer. It's a feeling. It's also his answer. It's a feeling.
No, I'm telling y'all, and this might sound crazy, I have the same feeling that I did when I first fell in love with her. What do I tell you every time we go to bed?
What?
About this part of the day.
This is your favorite time of the day?
Why?
Because it's what you always dreamed of?
Yep. I had these visions.
Every night I hear this. This is his favorite time of day.
I had this, before me and Jackie were together, Like I would have these visions of me cuddled up with her in bed, and to go to sleep every night, cuddled up with this girl that I always thought was perfect for me. It's just the best way to end the day. It's like, before it was real to me. And she's that special to me. And it's like she said, it's a feeling. And Jackie's not a talkative person. She's not boisterous by any means, but it's just something about, she's got like an aura, and I just love it. It's just perfect. And I pray and wish everyone can find their Jackie, even my kids. Not you specifically, but their Jackie.
Not everybody's equipped for a Jackie.
No.
It takes a special person.
It does. And everybody's not equipped for me. And we are good together. We're great together.
It's in your name.
Yep. Hopefully you all understood a little more about why you got married, or why you should get married, and what you should do to stay married. Remember, live, love, and laugh limitlessly.
TaylorMade.
Don't forget the TaylorMade
Artistry
t-shirt.
and Designs, Diane Perry.
Yep.
TaylorMadeTees.com. Look her up.
Don't forget limitless-livin.com. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube. We're also on podcast streams for Spotify, Podbean, Apple Podcasts.
Scan the QR code here.
Yeah.
Scan the QR code.
And so we can't wait to see you for episode 4.
We are Limitless Livin.
Remember, in marriage, you can live, love, and laugh limitlessly.